Okay. In what is becoming somewhat of a tradition, I'm making another free flow video as I approach the release of Au Naturel 4.0. In this video, I'll do the usual spiel, same spiel that I've given in the other 3 Au Naturel releases and videos, giving a little bit of history of the mod pack, what inspired me and what I hope to achieve with it. And rather than go over all the features of Au Naturel again, from there I'm going to talk about some of the things that make this worthy of a 4.0 release rather than a 3 point something incremental increase in the version number. As usual, I'm going to go on a little journey on this 27 gigabyte pre-generated world. I'm going to move from the down south, just on the fringe of the southern Arctic regions, and move north. We'll see how far we get during the rough hour or so I'm guessing that this will take, and explain everything as we go. Let's get started. Alright, as I mentioned before, or as I might have hinted before, there is a new world generation feature which I'll go into a bit later. But to start with, the start and story of Au Naturel, what got me started, what inspired this mod pack. I'll try and keep it as brief as possible, but for those who don't know, I have a young son, and as he got to a certain age, I introduced him to Minecraft, and after many years playing Minecraft many years ago, I came back to Minecraft and found all of these changes and things. Found the mod scene had moved on as well, made a lot of very impressive developments, and in doing so, I found lots of balance changes and additions which, to be perfectly frank, to both Microsoft and Mojang, didn't make a lot of sense, either in playability, in mechanics, in desirability, in balance, anything like that. Indeed, half of the changes seem to negate some of the features, or some of the items and philosophies which had come before. And so that feeling of being alone, being lost in the wilderness with all sorts of possibilities and survival in front of you that I felt was felt during the early days of Minecraft, seemed to have vanished. Everyone just popped in, immediately ran to a village, set themselves up some farms, had a respawn point, had a bed, didn't even really have to do anything. You could get iron level gear really without playing the game, which was kind of pointless. Skipped huge parts of the entire early design of Minecraft. Yeah, didn't like it very much, but in looking at the modded community, saw all sorts of opportunities and thought I could pull together a version of Minecraft based on the natural world, survival game, that really, for me, not only captured the spirit of those early days, but extended it where 15 years or so of development and the modding community could take it. This is now version 4. Version 1 started on, I think, 1.19.2. Then version 2 was a migration over to 1.20.1, reasonably well. Version 3 was the first time that the game actually sort of started to take shape, I feel. Started to represent the vision that I'd had when I started all of this. And now, with version 4, it's really, really looking like something special, if I might say so. Version 3 clocked in at something like 375 mods. There's been some churn. Some mods have been removed, but the new version, Au Naturel 4.0, clocks in at about 480 mods. This is an early dev version. It may not be the exact version that will be released if it can get through CurseForge and the like properties, but it's looking pretty good. Done a lot of testing already. Hopefully this journey will not involve too many bugs and things either. Yep. So aside from, you know, that sort of story, I wanted to recreate the sort of survival natural world simulation. And each iteration has gone deeper, further, increased the general sort of feel. But that being said, it's also, again, strongly opinionated in terms of game design, in terms of what I wanted to achieve. But fundamentally, this whole thing was designed because I wanted to play a game with my son. I wanted to play on a world where we could build, have adventures, create things. Yeah, look at that, one of the new structures. Create things in the world. Just be sort of open-ended for beautiful creative play with a small group of friends or a couple of people that you feel comfortable with. And that's now, yeah, coming through very well, I think, in this Modpack design. So always remember, that's the sort of, I guess, goal, to be able to play this with a couple of people on relatively powerful computers, it has to be said, but have put even more work into optimization over these last couple of weeks and days. And things are looking very interesting, so I'll probably have a bit more to say on that, not in this video. We'll see how we go. Obviously, it's always a sort of a battle between what you can fit in and what you can take out. What it can actually run on. Alright, interesting. Let's see here. As I mentioned before, we're playing on a roughly 27 gigabyte pre-generated world, continent from the North Pole to the South Pole. Oh, those guys are noisy, aren't they? Oof. Where in Au Naturel 4.0, we have brought in new world generation, new world mods. Now let's talk about that for a bit. So I've mentioned that this world extends from north to south, south to north. Equator in the middle. Most games you will spawn in the northern hemisphere somewhere. Origin, or the equator, is fixed at 0, 0 coordinate system, albeit when you're playing survival you don't have easy access to the coordinate system. The equator always has tropical kind of biomes around it. It's fringed on both sides to the north and south with the desert. This is via the natural temperature mod, incidentally, is responsible for this system. Always fringed to the north and the south by desert biomes. On the other side of the desert biomes is more temperate biomes, and on the other side of the more temperate biomes are the Arctic regions. Origin is at 0, 0. Player spawn is notionally... Interesting. Wonder where I am. I think I know where I am. I always get lost in all of these videos. Player spawn is at 0... Sorry. Equator is at 0, 0. North and South Pole are at minus 6,000 and 6,000. Can't remember which one's which. But you've basically got 12,000 blocks or so between the two North and South Poles. Beyond the North and South Pole is continuation of pure coldest climates, theoretically stretching on forever until the limit of the Minecraft world. But East and West still have the climate bands going on forever. So you've got a banded world. In fact, let me see if I can show you the... there we go. Map representation. And that also shows us where we are too on this continent. Now we're going to start our journey We did start our journey down here somewhere. We're going to go north, see if we can walk as far as we can. We're currently here, and the world, as we know it at the moment, is this big. You can see here in the middle band, roughly, the tropical zone, fringed on the south and the north by the deserts. A temperate zone extending above and below those, and last but not least, the Arctic regions to the north and the south. So that pattern of biomes, and I should say, just go back to this, looks quite stark on a pixelated map representation, but I find the transitions and the biomes work really well together once you actually zoom in on real world levels. Ooh. On Earth. Oh dear. I love the animal life sometimes. Yeah, so every world is banded in that way. Every world has the same dimensions, but every world is different and seeded different. The world gen is still, as with all Minecraft things, procedurally generated. Alright, and the reason that I've sort of gone for that system is while I was happy with the variety between seeded worlds in the old Au Naturel, I was really frustrated with the frequency with which biomes could exist in the same game. So I couldn't find very many desert biomes in games where there are Arctic biomes. I couldn't find very many tropical biomes. It tended to sort of have a more of a sort of uniformity to the world generation, and was never really quite happy with it. What I wanted was a world that still involved large-scale exploration, still involved a feeling of being very small in a very big, scary place, but with knowledge that there was a desert out there somewhere, if you were just willing to go look for it, with knowledge that there was an Arctic, that you could choose in some way with a great deal of effort to travel between those areas, to travel between them, to make your home where you want to make it, to explore where you want to explore, not to be forced into choice of 3 to 5 Arctic biomes where you'd spawned and that was about all you could find. So I hope the new world gen system is a nice balance in that regard. And if my experiments are anything to go through, I think it's succeeded. There's now a far, far greater diversity of biomes that generate naturally in each world. And when you spawn, if you can gauge the sort of climactic band or latitude, longitude, I always get those two mixed up, that you have spawned in, you know with relative certainty the direction that you need to go to find other biomes of a specific type. Now, you don't know that you'll find a specific biome, but you know that you'll find deserts. You know you'll find dry, arid regions. And it is worth stating that while the regions are like they are, the whole system is still overlaid on the procedural generative system of tectonic, I believe it is, that controls the general feeling of rivers, caves, continents, and islands. So just because you're in the desert band doesn't mean that there will actually be a landmass in your particular coordinates. You might have to go very far east or west before you actually hit land. There's nothing guaranteeing that there will be a continent that spans the entire distance between north and south. You might find rivers, you might find oceans, you might find you're on a little island. All these sorts of things can easily take place. Yeah, and yeah, I think in effect it gives you a much, much nicer natural system. Natural for exploration, natural for variations, and natural for knowing with some certainty how the world works, but still leaving enough open to mystery and exploration. Cool. All right, now had a little bit of a revamp of the biomes too. Got rid of the good ending mod. Unfortunately, it was just being a bit too buggy and was just found too much effort was being maintained in keeping it in there. It only had a handful of biome changes to it, but with its departure, we've spent some time now integrating nature's spirit into the mod pack. So we have. So with nature's spirit, we have many, many more pretty awesome biomes, to be perfectly frank, integrated into our world generation, along with the old favourites of biomes of plenty, biomes we've gone, regions unexplored, I think are the main ones. Each of those curated, each of those adjusted, and we've adjusted the temperatures for, well, we've done everything needed to integrate, hopefully, most of the biomes of nature's spirit, adjusted the temperatures so that they work in with the climate system, adjusted the spawns so that the animals and mobs of the natural world have a place in all of them, an appropriate place at that. Yeah, done everything else needed to wait and make them pretty natural integration. So really happy with how that's turned out as well. It means we've got even more varied biomes than we theoretically even had before. I think we're possibly arriving at some mountains that I was trying to go to the left of. So let's climb up to the top and see how things are going. So yeah, I think really happy with how it works. Now, other world additions you may have noticed. We have finally, after taking them out for version 3.0, had a return of dynamic trees. Dynamic trees are now back in here, and of course the other elephant in the room is not only have we replaced the entire tree system with dynamic trees for the most part, we went one step further and we've included alpha of Tan's huge trees. Those for not aware, whoever Tan is, they've been working. They have been working a lot on updating their massive tree pack. So we now have a variety of trees, the full dynamic trees, which basically, dare I say it, integrated into every biome, mainstream biome anyway, that we have here in Au Naturel, and Tan's huge trees working alongside to create these giant structures, these ancient sort of tree life and things, which really I love the atmosphere that they create. They're a little bit problematic on world generations, so you do generally have to pre-generate. They're a little laggy if you actually play without things regenerated, but once you have pre-generated the world, my god, I just feel they add so much more to the natural atmosphere. Yeah, so what more can I say? Let's get a gorge on where we are. Oh yeah, there we are. We are looking pretty good. I'm gonna try to sort of veer over to the left here and up this side, up to this rainforest area. That's my goal. I'm gonna try to avoid the wasteland just because it's a relatively boring biome. Let's see how things, whoops, how things go. Hello spiders, thank god I'm on creative. Way. Oh well, we'll know if we hit the wastelands that we Man, it's dark. Now, got to use a couple of brain cycles to try to navigate and find my way through in this nighttime hell. Ooh, this looks like a nice view. What's coming up? Maybe? see what we can gauge from this lookout. You can see the silhouettes of some of Tan's huge trees there. Again, while they're not the most optimal in terms of chunk generation, I love the effect. Makes the world feel much more sort of wild, ancient, as though it's, for lack of a better word, untainted by too much destruction. Really grown natural. Anyway, so dynamic trees and Tan's huge trees are back in, and I feel they add a lot, and I'm really happy with how they're running once the world is pre-generated. Interesting. Let's bonsai. Whee! Ah. Right, see if we can get up and get a bit of a nicer view for sunrise. Long grass in a lot of the natural world. Maybe we can gauge from the sun which way is east and north. I mean, I know I've got a map, but I don't like using it. Oh, super long grass there. Alright, so what else to talk about? Well, another big news for the mod, villagers are back in. That's villages, not villagers. Villagers are still out. Still don't like trading. Still don't like them. I'm not thrilled about villagers. Sometimes the frequency of them. So to sort of combat that a bit, structures are still quite sparse. Villages are still quite sparse, still hard to find, but more interestingly, they have been replaced with hostile mobs. So you will find all villages will be populated with pillagers now instead of villagers. So if you're going to want to loot or use their resources, you're going to have to take either some major risks or take into account the fact that you're going to meet resistance. Hello? But well, depends a little bit on your world spawn, I guess, as to whether you're likely to find one. But even though villages are back, structures are generally still sparse. And let us now also say that structures are back as well. In fact, the world is populated with ruins, miscellanea, all sorts of things that give the world a bit more of a lived-in feel, but they're still incredibly sparse. So you will find them, as you will probably see a couple. I have not planned. We're up to the wasteland, so that means that we're going along there. We're going to go and let's try and use our view and our mountaineering skills. Take advantage of distant horizons. See, this is the wasteland biome. As I was saying, it's kind of boring, but gives us a nice view. Oh, look, there's one of those structures that I was talking about. How's that for something to discover and explore? Alright, there's one mountain range over there. I believe there's another mountain range over there, and I said before that I didn't want to walk through the wasteland, so let's see if we can go around the south side of this biome, and I think we have to try to get onto the other side of that mountain range if we want to arrive at our tropics. So where was I? Villages are back, filled with hostile mobs. Structures are back. Rarely spawn, you have to explore to find them. Mainly of the archaeological and the ruin type things. There may be what is colloquially called dungeons, but they'll be contextualized in the mod pack. So there's no just like sort of random, what are those trial chambers sort of things. They have a context for sort of being in this world. Maybe if I'm feeling super loving in the future, I'll even write some lore or something and see if I can work that in some way. Whoosh. Yeah, but I feel they fit into the world. Now, speaking of fitting into the world, a possibly controversial take, with the return of structures, I have allowed a minor inclusion of some supernatural and otherwise fantastical mobs back into the world, but they are limited primarily to specific structures and environments like that. So you're not going to find any skeletons or things roaming the natural land, and you have to go pretty far and wide. And then choose to engage with some of the old ruins and things like that while exploring them. But if you choose to do so, you may find resistance. I can't say for now what that resistance will be. Some of it might be natural mobs, some of it might be unnatural, but they will be restricted to those particular key points and areas. They're not going to spawn or be found in the vast majority of the world. And given that the structures and the ruins and things are quite separated and you have to find them as a general rule, you're not exactly going to be experiencing much of the supernatural on a day-to-day basis. But to make things a little bit more exotic, I've added just that little bit of salt of including those sort of threats from those supernatural elements in the game. You can engage with them if you want, and if you don't want, you can ignore them entirely. Continuing that sort of theme of skirting with this sort of mythical, borderline supernatural world, while keeping it 98-99% Au Naturel, we've integrated Neolithic and Totemic into the mod pack now. Now, my Neolithic is pretty straightforward. There's now some cave paintings and some sort of primitive items around. What else is there? The deal with Totemic, I sort of want almost a sort of a natural law thing. Now, you know, with ruins and civilizations that have been before here and leaving this world in this sort of pristine natural state, I wanted to sort of lean ever so slightly into this sort of semi-archaic nativist religion sort of aspect, without overwhelming or overpowering the survival aspect or anything like that. So again, you don't have to engage with that aspect of the mod. It's totally optional. And honestly, it's, again, more like a sprinkling of seasoning or salt rather than the entire flavour of the mod. But my thoughts there are, if you've got access to, you have to find some of the original Minecraft wood types in this natural world, you can carve and access some magical buffs from the various totems that you can keep around your camp. That's honestly about as far as the totemic integration goes. It's sort of like just a little extra into the mod, but I think it's fun. So sue me. All right. Oh, here's a big one. I have attempted to integrate mine colonies into the pack. Now, the thought is that mine colonies still has to be a relatively mid to late game item. The passage into mine colonies, for those not aware, mine colonies is basically a colony management system. So, although it is a natural world, and although the world sees you fighting for survival basically on your lonesome, and now with other people being in the world and villages and ruins and other... Oh, that's fantastic, that is. Fantastic, that is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. That is. with other people, ruins and things now existing in this world, you can no longer say that it is completely unpopulated. It brings in the option, and in a relatively hostile world, I think it has to be said, brings in the option for us to say, well, maybe there are some other people out in this world. And do we fall down again? Maybe they would like the chance to come together and attempt survival with yourself. What's going on here? There we go. Come on, let's get out of this biome. Oof. Hello. Now where was I? Oh yeah, so Mine Colonies integration. It's a colony management mod, and a rather massive one to put it politely. The system. Ah, Lord, that's getting a bit old, isn't it? System that it uses. You need to start with the supply camp, and then you can build out your colony from there. Let's just fly over this. Oh. I don't want to spend too much time flying. But, quicksand is, a little bit annoying in the context of... trying to give some exposition. So Mine Colonies. Colony mod, quite a big one at that. Let's see how we go. Quite a big one at that, but quite an expensive one to get started. You need to craft a supply camp or a supply ship, and in Au Naturel terms, it's quite an expensive investment before you can start trying to build your colony. The other thing that you need to take into account before you even attempt, realistically, Mine Colonies integration is that this is still a dangerous world. A dangerous world in the style of Minecraft. Dangerous. And your colonists are not well provided for in that sense. Finally, something a bit more solid underfoot, hopefully. So you're going to want some protection. Now, in order to do that protection, aside from the sort of campfire protection and light protection and things like that, have added Master Torch, so you can craft up a bigger torch that prevents monsters spawning in an area. It is highly recommended that you have a couple of those before you start your colony, because otherwise when nightfall comes, your colony is not going to get very far. And you still have to go down to depths and find a significant investment of diamonds and other resources before you can realistically even hope to set up a colony. And then once you do so, you still have to worry about the actual building of your colony. So it's definitely a sort of a late game, extended game, second game item. But if it works out, I'm really excited at the prospects of having it in here, because it just extends the playability of the mod down another path. You don't have to be alone for the full duration of your game, and has real sort of hopes in supporting gameplay through long-term existing worlds, like 27 gigabyte sized files that become permanent story-driven and role-playing and construction type worlds. You can have real sort of infrastructure built and really interesting experiences. So I'll probably still have to keep balancing it. Don't know huge amount about it. Still have to try playing through and bringing it in. So there's a good chance there's probably a whole bunch of bugs in there with it, but we're going to try and integrate it in and see how we go in the Au Naturel 4 point whatever stream of development. See how we go. Other developments that change things up. We're going to introduce a mod called Via Romana, I think it's called. Now, this is an attempt to integrate via an infrastructure-driven system fast travel. the catch with Via Romana is that you have to build the roads between the places you want to fast travel between. You have to put the signposts, and you have to walk the path after the road has been developed. And if you do that, then theoretically you can fast travel between those 2 points. Now, my hope in doing so is that again, sort of encourages infrastructure investment. I hope that because of the infrastructure investment involved, it doesn't eliminate the other forms of travel that you'll find in Au Naturel, be it the mine carts, be it the horses, be it now the hang glider, which I have also not mentioned, but might have the opportunity to show off soon. I don't know. Let's see where we are on the map. Yeah, okay. Alright, so if we keep walking up along here... Got a bit of a choice. Another desert, probably fall into quicksand again. Up over the wasteland steppes, through the Badlands, more wasteland. Maybe we can try the Badlands and let's see if we can fly over the wasteland. Let's try that as a strategy. Let's see if that works. I'm pretty sure that mountain there is the height of the Badlands mountain. And that'll give us an opportunity to show off the hang glider too. Hang glider is not a replacement for elytra. You cannot boost yourself when you're using the hang glider. You still have to get up to the high places. But I found in some of my other playthroughs and the likes, often you would go through huge amounts of time to climb up high mountains. You can see some really nice variations with some of the natural volcano biomes off there into the distance as well. I'd find myself climbing up into high mountainous areas and then really being irritated at the trek back down. So I wanted something that could get me down fast but would not allow for unlimited travel or fast travel or the kind of travel breaking, exploration breaking things that I feel things like elytra are. So that is why we've introduced hang gliders. So gonna see, watch our wall jump trick. Whoop. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. See if we can climb up to the top of this rather barren, arid biome that we're experiencing now. Have a nice view and see how it performs flying down the other side. This opportunity. Where is the moon? I was going to say take this opportunity to have a bit of a gaze back at the world around us, where we've come from, and the rest of the beauty and starkness of this landscape. Hello, boys. Scorpions, of course, love the Badlands. Love the nighttime too. Where are we? There's lots and lots of more changes. Let's see if I can, I'm gonna leave out huge portions. Whoop. Ooh. Huge portions on this video, just for the record, and I'm not going to revisit the mechanics of life in Au Naturel. So if you're sort of hoping me to go over those things, bad luck. I can't go over all the sort of bug fixes and the mod changes. How's that moon going? I really, really want the sun to come up, and I don't want to have to cheat. Hey, that's a nice view. Alright, I'm going for that mountain peak. Or maybe this one. Let's see. And we get our first glimpse of the new jungle environment. Now, with Tan's huge trees, it's still in alpha. There are a number of constructs in that mod that I'm probably going to remove in the production version of Au Naturel. That being said, the atmosphere in the jungles is so great that I really want to keep that particular environment in things. I'm probably going to get rid of some of the oceanic spikes. Let's see if we can see any while we're here, because we can wait here and just oh yeah. So oh, no, I don't see any huge oceanic spikes. For those who know your biome mods and things like that, I'm pretty sure those light structures, the ones with the little twinkly things in the background, floating islands. Oh, I can't tell if those are ocean spikes or land spikes. I've got no problems with the land spikes. I really want to get rid of some of the ocean ones, and there's of course those spikes, which I'm pretty happy with. I think those are part of the biomes we've gone. Biomes. There are other mods that also introduce spikes. I'm not sure about those spikes off into the distance, whether those are Tan's huge trees ones, but I'm pretty sure that those sky islands over there are Tan's huge trees creations. And just for the record, I've got a later version of maps where those are edited out, so those do not exist anymore, and I don't generally want them. Oh. Just want the opportunity to see a beautiful sunrise over a Minecraft world. You know, the wastelands are stark, but volcanoes, forests, grasslands, wastelands. I really love how this is all coming together. You know, again, got to be mentioned the complementary shaders. I've customized the lighting levels and things for Au Naturel to make them look a particular way, but you know, I can't take credit for that. I don't know the first thing about shader development, so I've had to rely on the shoulders of giants, as it were, to enable me to do that. But I got to say, I'm really, really happy with how it's all worked out. Quite nice. Cool. Anyway, back to the spikes and the Tan's huge trees things before we try our hang gliding descent. Those sky islands, I'm not happy with those. I don't want them generating over the ocean. I want them gone, and in some future versions, on some of my later test worlds, I believe the config for Tan's huge trees allows for those to easily be taken out. And a couple of other Tan's things. But in contrast, although I don't like their unrealistic nature, I'm going to go see the jungle in a second. And that thicket mass that you can see in front of you is the jungle. And although it can also be argued that that is very unrealistic, I have to say that the atmosphere that it creates in the jungle, for those of you, I don't know how many have actually been to tropical jungles where humanity has not had a huge, I won't say a huge impact on the ecosystem, for those who know their history, but let's just say where there are not huge numbers of human beings. If you've ever actually tried to walk through jungles, it has a very particular feel, a very particular struggle. And subsequently, I love the atmosphere that feeling of being in the jungle creates. So that's probably going to stay in if I've got my way. We'll see how we go. Alright. Let's see here. There we go. Now, if I've done this right, let's take a leap of faith. Hey. So that's the new hang glider mod that we've got in. Um, Previous testing and things show that I'm quite happy with it. Does have, you know, limited usage and the likes, but honestly, I feel it's a pretty luxurious way to travel and to get down from those very, very high places. Let's see. Gonna land in the water, aren't I? Right, maybe I'll land in the land just over here. There we go. Awesome. Alright, now, getting to the end of this video, hopefully. And, do want to explore the jungle there. So we've made it about, well, not from the South Pole, but from the edge of the Arctic region. Just north of there was when we started, of the southern Arctic region. And we've almost made our way up to the equator. So yeah, that gives you sort of a feeling for the default world size. Whoa. In creative, it takes about an hour to move. Obviously in survival, it's going to be a lot longer. Obviously though, with some infrastructure, it might be a bit quicker. And some tools and objects. Alright, let's have a check out on this map. It's I am going to... Oh, yeah, interesting. Maybe we should go that way. I do love this river. So I'm going to go into the river and come back out. Yeah. Yeah, about an hour to move from southern zone straight up, walk up to the equator. Inner world, but probably be longer. And if you pre-generate a world from about the equator up to the north, in a radius of about 500 chunks or whatever, you're looking at about let's say a 30 gigabyte world. Honestly, you could place a world border on that and have more than enough space to ever explore. Au Naturel is targeted at relatively larger modern computers. It's assumed at least the host will be hosted on such, so a 30 gigabyte world is not that prohibitive to me. It takes about a day total compute time to generate that world, using pre-generator things is probably my estimation. So as you can see here, this whatchamacallit, this jungle environment, it's very dense. Oh. And when you enter into the jungle, you can feel the density, the sort of walls closing in on you. Although they're not walls, it's the leafy environments, as it were. Hello, water. Nope. Whoa. Now, as with natural jungle environments, actually navigating this place without any infrastructure is kind of a nightmare. Um, the jungle is a jungle. Let's see if we can get out into land. Yeah. And it feels like a jungle. It's dark, it's dangerous, it's very dense. Um, if you're going to be making your way through here now, you need to be really, really thinking about what you're doing in here, where you're going, how you're going to do it safely, why it is that you've chosen to come and try and live in a tropical environment. But I just love the way that the complementary shaders do the light beams through in the jungle as well. Even in the noon sun, don't know if you can see there. There's a jungle structure right at the end of this river near the bend. All right, we're gonna turn away from the bend and try and go back a bit this way. Sorry, I've gotten distracted by my own belly button navel gazing. But yeah, very, very happy with the sort of atmosphere created in these jungles. Claustrophobic, hazardous, man versus environment sort of feeling. Right, I'm heading off this way. Let's see. Let's cover off some of the last items. Just giving them a very broad painting of brushstrokes here. We've got some new ease of life mods and some frivolous mods as well. I don't know if I mentioned it before. We added sort of the painting. I don't even know if that's what it's called. Painting mods, so you can do some pixel art and get out your easel and generally try to create some actual painting and landscapes inside Minecraft. And when you're finished painting, you can take it off your easel and hang it on your wall. It's really cool. Sort of like just a little informal mini game. And like most painting, it's kind of meditative. It's really quite sweet. So we've got that in there. Might have always had that in there, I don't know. Added some musical instruments. Again, oh, there's another ruin. It's one that we were aiming to try to find on our journey. Again, you'll find structures and things. Oh, and look, there's some of those sort of cave paintings and things from Neolithic. Yeah, musical instruments. They don't serve any purpose in the game other than leisure and entertainment. And I guess you could say trolling and entertaining your friends. Allows you to play some music and do some very musical things. That's always sweet. What else is there? Some new building blocks have accompanied some of these structures. As part of the structure packs, you have the option to find and construct many of these building blocks and styles. What else is there? We've got a diving animation, which is not really of much use to you in your first-person view, but if you're playing survival, you can now dive into waters. I said I wasn't going to go over some of the old. Right, going through the jungle is going to be too much, so let's set it to day. At night for the video. Diving animation, yeah, no good to you in first person. A little bit of entertainment just for people playing with others on servers or the like, or in families. Quick paths. So along with, I don't know how this works yet. I've got to test it still. Quick paths allows you to sort of do quick pathing between any 2 points, rather than having to lay it out. I've got the mod in there that turns ploughed areas and paths back to dirt. Ooh, that's interesting. Look at that for a little canyon right in the middle of it all. Yeah. We're going to cheat and fly over it, but it's kind of cool. Let's see. Paths and back to dirt. We've got aquarium mod, so you can open up your own little fish keeping section in your house if you get that advanced in the future. Dawn of Time, which I think was one of those structures back there, is also responsible for some new building blocks. We've got a couple of new armors in things from historical time periods. Might have to integrate them further. We'll see how they go. I've got coal additions for more efficient storage and flexibility in terms of using coal and stacks of coal. What other little things do we have? Better bridging. So that's a mod that lets you place down more than one block at a time, with a very simple recipe and technique. I'll probably go over some of these little lifestyle mods and things in another video. I've got better archaeology in here. Yeah. So I think I mentioned before, Au Naturel 3.0 was measuring in at 370 something mods back in the day. Au Naturel 4.0 pushes that out to roughly 480 now. Quite a massive mod pack. We've implemented new bug fixes, probably introduced some new bugs, continued our very, 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 very heavy focus on performance. So I don't know what this has looked like to you guys once this sort of video renders out. But always, because it's such a demanding mod pack and such a demanding experience, we have to put heavy emphasis on trying to get this thing running smoothly and running well in just every system that you come across. There is going to be a reality of older systems that cannot run it, but as I try and struggle through and get a system, hopefully my aim is with Au Naturel 4.0 or one of the 4 version developments that we will get a server release out soon. You won't necessarily need a fully powerful computer if the server is doing most of the work. You just have to worry about having a beefy server. So, but anyway, I might create another video specific on trying to run this mod pack on low resource systems. Still need a decent CPU, but I'm hoping it might actually be possible. We've spent a lot of work trying to keep this thing runnable. And frankly, it looks like that work is paying dividends. Where are we? I have a feeling maybe not. Maybe that's another place, another time. Oh, let's come out of the jungle into the fungal jungle, or whatever it's called. And we'll wrap up the video. So yeah, we've tried to put a heavy focus on trying to keep things optimized. Don't want broken gameplay in terms of lag or things. Do need a beefy computer, and yes, we are trying to sort of push Minecraft to its absolute extremes in terms of what it was ever designed for and what it's capable of, and pulling together the best work of the modding community into one mod pack. But other than that, for the scope of its vision, I have to say it's, if you know what you're doing, you can really set this thing up to have quite the experience. Cool. Alright, let's fly up out of here and have one last look at the world before we sign off. Why don't we go up to the top of that volcano? Why? Because we can. have a look around at the world. Take our point on the map. Where are we? Alright, so we started our journey down here. And through this entire video, we have managed to find our way up. Let's see if I can retrace our steps. Through this peninsula, cross our first river, through the purple forest. What did we do here? Can't remember exactly, but we did hit the wastelands. And then we went west. Oh, that's right. We ended up going through the desert, fell into the quicksands and things there, up over this hill, up onto the top of that mountain there, I believe, where we had our nice little hang glide session down here, into the jungle, through the jungle, past the ruins there, coming out, finally landing on this ridge of the world, right in the equator zone. Yeah, or at least a sort of boundary between the equatorial zone and the desert zone to the north. And then onto the other side of the desert zone is the next zone of temperate and things. Still a mountain ridge, and so mountains can sort of, you know, vary the climate through those zones a bit as things happen. Yeah, but I guess that's how long it takes in creative to get more or less halfway through the world. Not, yeah, I say halfway. We ignored the Arctic zones just because those tend to be a little hostile to life. But there you go. Let's take a look around. This is Au Naturel 4.0. Still in playtesting, but hoping to be released soon. Really happy with how it's turning out, and why don't we have one last hurrah as we take in the world over this volcanic environment. Oh, I'm getting disorientated now. There's the jungle. And there's the desert to the north. Oh. Well, symbolically fly off into the future. And hopefully soon, I can announce the full release of Au Naturel 4.0. See you later, everyone.